Welcome back to Strength After Sorrow. I am Jeff Salmon, and today what I want to talk about is social media's version of manhood and the misconception that I think that it is putting out there and making us think that we have to live up to something that is not true. What I've noticed is a uptick in my algorithm as far as just different content telling men how to be strong, telling us that we need to just push through. There's different stoic quote pages that have popped up, different alpha male frameworks, different things, just basically telling you that if you make this much money, then I can go ahead and help you out to get shredded, or if you're not shredded, then you're weak, if this or that. It is just everywhere. And of course, most of this is all trying to get you to buy into a program, which of course, that's what most of this stuff is all about. If they can get you to buy into a program, then they have a sale and they can keep us locked in. And unfortunately, a lot of us, we just want some type of outline telling us what we need to do. What is it? Give me a workout, give me a nutrition plan, tell me what I'm supposed to lift, tell me what I'm supposed to eat, tell me what I'm supposed to do before I go to bed. When I wake up, I want an outline telling me exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, which is why it is super easy to get some of this stuff out there. The thing is more content than ever telling men how to be strong, and yet men are quietly struggling at levels that we rarely talk about. So either the content isn't working or it's working exactly as designed, just not for the man consuming it. So what does the algorithm say a man is? I just wrote down a couple, and the first one is the stoic man. That, and I want to read what stoicism is real quick, because I've looked it up and I wanted to make sure that we've got it here. Okay, so stoicism is, in a nutshell, is a practical Greek and Roman philosophy designed to help you maintain peace of mind by focusing only on what you can control. Its goal is to build resilience and a good life through moral character rather than external success. It goes on to say that the things that we can control, our own thoughts, judgments, values, and how we choose to respond to events. Things we don't control, everything else, including the weather, the economy, other people's opinions, and the final outcome of our efforts. So they talk about a couple of things, but then they go into the common misconceptions. It's not about being emotionless. Stoicism is about the domestication of emotions, not their elimination. A Stoic feels emotions like everyone else, but doesn't let them drive their decisions. It's not passive resignation. Accepting reality as it is doesn't mean you don't try to change it. It means you stop wasting energy being upset about things you can't change, so you can focus on the actions you can take. So there is the difference right there. It is okay to be stoic because there are things that we can control and there are things that we can't control. The things that we need to focus on are the things that we can control. The things that we can't control, if there's something that you can do about it, then yes, you definitely want to do something about it, but it's not a passive type of thing. It isn't about pushing your emotions down. It's not about not feeling. And unfortunately, a lot of the pages out there talking about being a stoic man is exactly that. It's telling you that you aren't supposed to have these emotions. You're not supposed to show your feelings. You're supposed to be stoic. And the word sounds super great, but the idea of not showing emotions is not what stoicism is all about. The next one is the grinder. Identity built entirely on output. The rest is weakness. You know, you've heard the term that's I'll sleep when I'm dead, and just more. You're just pushing and pushing and pushing. And I was like that a lot. It was one of my ways that I could avoid things, because if I was just pushing and getting myself busy, just keeping going, then I didn't have to deal with my emotions. We've got the lone wolf, which that one is where if you need people, then it's a character flaw. And one of the most dangerous things that a man can ever say is, I got this. 3 little words. I got this. We were never meant to do things on our own. We were never meant to just take care of things on our own. We were meant to, even if you go all the way back to old times, I mean, if you want to go back to whether it was with the settlers here, I mean, they all did things together. If you go back even further, there was community, there was people working together. It was never just a solo effort of, I've got this, I can do this, I don't need you, I don't need anybody else. The lone wolf is somebody that doesn't want to get hurt again, usually. They don't want to share their feelings with somebody else and get that rejection, because they are not getting what they need from that person or whatever it is. And I am this way. I'm working on that. I'm getting much better. I'm one of those that if I have got a project to do, I will do whatever I can to get it done without asking for help. And it sometimes has caused me some pain, because I'll hurt myself trying to get things done. Again, I got this is not something that should be in our vocabulary. The next one is the hard man, that physical toughness, that emotional blankness, I'm a rock. And that's a term that I would always tell my wife, that I'm a rock. She would always say that, I'm basically putty in the hands of our youngest daughter, or either one of our daughters, in fact, or the grandkids. And, I'd always tell her, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a rock. But there are those people that physically, that is how they live life, that they are a rock. They're physical toughness, emotional blankness. You can't ever tell what it is that they're feeling, what it is they're going through. And then we got the bounce back king. Resilience measured by speed of recovery. How fast were they able to get back to where they were before? The life that they used to live, how fast did they make it back? So I've been looking up different stats as far as different things. And one of them that I've got here, it's a common sense media survey, found that 73% of boys regularly see digital masculinity content. Posts about fighting, building muscles, making money, and those who consume more of it show worse mental health outcomes. So this isn't a niche corner of the internet. This is the mainstream feed for an entire generation of men. And it's out there. And us men are not the only ones. The girls are getting bombarded with social media as well. That content that's trying to tell them what it is they're supposed to be, and kids and adults and married people and Christians and all these things. I mean, I don't care who you are, there is some type of social media content out there driving what it is that you're supposed to be. And I've got to tell you that probably 99% of it is completely false. It is just something to either push an image or something to push a program, something to push a profit, whatever it is. We need to not get sucked into it. So why does this content dominate? Why? Because it's simple. Real life isn't. Simple content wins every time. Just like I said already, that a lot of us are looking for a playbook. What is it that I need to do? what time should I go to bed? How many hours of sleep should I get? What vitamins should I take? How much water should I drink? There are just, I mean, you name it. There is out there telling people you can buy programs that they're going to give you a nutrition protocol and a workout protocol. And all it is a generic thing. You can chat GPT that for yourself and get probably just as good of a program that you're going to get from somebody on social media charging you whatever it is that they're charging you. I've done it a couple of times. I've had it and I got it and I knew it was a generic outline because I've had my nutrition certification. I was a former coach. So I knew getting that it was just a generic thing. It was not tailored to me. It was not outlined just for me. This was something that they just kind of put out. And then there was absolutely no follow through after. And that is one of the other big problems with the social media aspect is there is no follow through. They just tell you what it is that you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to be, but there's nobody there to lean on when all this stuff falls apart. So why else? Well, it flatters without challenging. You're built different. You don't need anyone is an easy thing to sell to a man who's hurting. And I got sucked into that. I don't need anybody else. I can take care of this on my own. I've got this. And I would say that to myself, I've got this. And it is, again, a very dangerous phrase to say. Again, it's monetizable. You can definitely make some money. Supplements, courses, programs, all attached to a version of manhood that keeps men striving and never arriving. I mean, the one that kept popping up in mind, if you make at least $150,000 a year and you're still out of shape, then I can get you ripped in so many weeks. I'm like, okay, so now all of a sudden, if I'm not making at least $150,000 a year, that means that I'm not really worthy of even getting into this person's program. And is that what he's going for? I don't know. Does he just know that, hey, if you're making 150 grand, then probably you can afford a little bit more? Not necessarily, because what I found in life is the more money you make usually is the more money you spend. So just because you make more money doesn't mean you have more money. It just means that you got bigger bills. The other thing is the algorithm rewards confidence and certainty. Vulnerability does not perform, so it gets filtered out. You don't see that in social media. You don't see the person that is vulnerable. Vulnerable is such a, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a taboo word. That vulnerability is weakness. And in reality, yes, vulnerability can be weakness. Because if you figure you got a building and there is a broken section in your building and you got people trying to get in, well, that broken section makes you vulnerable. So that is why it's such a taboo, and vulnerability is such a taboo thing to say for a man because it is expressed as weakness. So instead of vulnerability, we can definitely look for some different terms. We can say that I am open. I'm open to the feelings that are going on in my life right now. I am open to support. I am looking for support. I am needing support. Instead of being vulnerable and making yourself feel weak, then you can change the terms. You can change your language. A 2025 Movember Institute survey found that young men aged 16 to 25 who regularly consumed online masculinity influencer content were more likely to experience feelings of worthlessness. 27% versus 23%. nervousness 26% versus 19%, and sadness 26% versus 19% compared to the peers who didn't engage with that content. So the content that promised to make men stronger is measurably making them worse. So I don't think that's a coincidence. That is a business model. If you can keep us weaker or less confident, then what are we going to be looking for? We're going to be looking for that next fix. And social media stuff is an awful lot like, and I can compare that to drugs. In fact, there have been studies as far as the dopamine effect, as far as getting on social media and getting likes and different things like that, that it is the same type of stimulation in your brain that it triggers a thing in there. So if we're in here, then what are we doing? We're getting this dopamine hit and we're finding, okay, here's a solution to something that I'm going through. And now I've gone this far and all of a sudden, well, this isn't working. So I must be doing something wrong. It can't be the program that I just bought into. It has to be something else. It has to be me, because I was broken when I went and I was looking for this program. So that means I must still be broken. There's a problem with me, and now I've got to find something else. And a lot of times this same person that sold you this program miraculously has other things that they offer that will help you through different things, whether it is nervousness or worthlessness or sadness. They have a program that you can get into, or if you would just sign up for their men's group. And I'm not knocking any of this, because a lot of these, I've been a part of some different online men's groups, and they were great. It helped me a whole bunch. Yeah, I spent some money. I had a monthly fee that I paid every single month, and it was great. I was able, but these were men. They weren't just out for a buck. These were men that were wanting to help. They were wanting to bring you up from where you were, not let you just stay down where you were at, not letting you think that you're broke, but that you were worth something. So not everything out there is bad. Not everything out there is worthless. It's just a lot of the programs out there, a lot of the social media influencers are just out there trying to get a dollar, just trying to give you an idea that you should be up here because you're a man. And if you're not up here, then you're definitely not a man. And that is not the right thing to do. So where does this template kind of break down? The template holds up fine in good seasons. We all have good seasons, but then life happens, right? Whether it's a job loss, whether it's divorce, health crisis, could be a financial collapse, could be, I keep hearing people reference some different times where we had, an economic crash and what it looked like. Did it affect this industry and this and that? And so people are always looking at these types of things, questions of identity questions, loss of purpose. And every one of those moments, the algorithm's man has no tools. So he's been trained to perform, but he's never been trained to process any of these times. He hasn't been told or trained what to do if he loses a job. Well, if you lose a job, then you just pick up and you go do anything. You just grab your shovel and you go down the road and you just start digging trenches. Well, that's a good idea, but maybe you reach out to somebody. reach out to somebody that's in your network and say, man, I just lost my job and I had no idea it was coming. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, you know what? I got a buddy over here that is actually looking for some work. So there is a time to just bear down and take care of things, but there's also that time that you need to lean on others. So here comes some more stats. 83% of men report experiencing stress in the last 6 months, but most are still hesitant to seek professional help. I'll raise my hand. I have a real hard time with this. The big part on me is I will not speak with a female counselor, and it's nothing against female counselors. It's just from the very beginning, I have been one of those that I did not want anything to where my wife would feel that I could share something with another woman that I could not with her. So that just took that completely out of the picture. And I just haven't really looked into as far as getting some professional help. I would definitely, I'm open to it. I just have not looked for it really. We've got some counseling at the church that we go to, but again, it's a female, so I will not go to it. I would go as a couple, but I will not go by myself. In 2023 Cleveland Clinic survey, 65% of men said they are hesitant to get help for stress, anxiety, depression, or other mental health concerns. Another one, only 17% of American men saw a mental health professional in 2023 compared to 28.5% of women. And only 1 in 4 men who had depression actually received counseling or therapy. So what happens when us men don't get help? Well, men make up nearly 80% of all U.S. suicides, with a rate 4 times higher than women. I want that to sink in for a minute. Men make up nearly 80% of all U.S. suicides, with a rate 4 times higher than women. We need to open up. We need to let men know that it is okay to get help. It is okay to reach out. It is okay to get the assistance that we need. It does not mean that we are weak. It does not mean that we are less than. It means that we are human. We were never meant to do things on our own. We were never meant. The Bible even says so, that man was not meant to be alone. He made Adam a helper, a helpmate. He made Eve so that Adam was not by himself, because even God knew that we can't do things on our own. We need others. Men with mental health disorders lose more years of life than women with the same disorder. So these just aren't health stats. They're the cost of a culture that trained men to hold it together and never taught them what to do when they couldn't. I am 53, and my dad's generation, I don't know that they were ever taught either as far as sharing your emotions. And it trickled into us that these are things that you don't necessarily share. So when, I can look at that generation and I can see that the things that they've dealt with, the things that they've gone through, and they just don't want to talk about it. It's just not it could be maybe a short conversation, but there's never a long conversation with any of it. And we need to make sure that that is not the normal. It should not be the normal anymore. And I am always trying to let my youngest know and grandkids, hey, if you ever are going through something, I am here. It is an open conversation and you can let me know. I am not going to tell my grandsons that they shouldn't cry because that is false. It is okay to cry. If you've got some feelings that need to get out and crying is what gets those out, then let's have a good cry. And then we can learn from those, whatever happened, and figure things out. We can learn how to adjust to different situations or whatever it is. We need to make it okay that we can reach out. Here's another one that shows that the lone wolf idea has a real world body count on connection. And again, like I said, I kind of fall into that lone wolf thing. The number of men with zero close friends jumped from 3% back in 1990 to 15% by 2021. And I've got to say, probably there was a big factor that really helped that one back in 2020 because a lot of us were isolated back then. So it was really easy to kind of lose connection and not have any close friends anymore. I fall into this category. I do not have really, I don't know that I have any close friends that I could just jump in. Another one here is men with 6 or more close friends dropped from 55% down to 27% in the same period. I was at a conference a couple Fridays ago, I think it was, and he was talking about, do you have your 4 mat carriers? I think is how he phrased it. There's a story in the Bible about a man that couldn't, I think he was paralyzed. I'd have to go back and look at the story again. I don't remember exactly. And most people know the story. It's the one where they climbed up on the roof and let the person down to where Jesus was so that he could be healed. But what he was talking about, what was there? There was 4 people that carried him on his mat because he needed something. And his whole thing was, do you have 4 people that you could call on that would carry your mat for you? And I started thinking, I'm like, I don't even think I have one person except for my wife. Yeah, I've got my family, but do I have any friends that would carry my mat for me? I honestly can't say that I have that. Unfortunately, it seemed like I've lost a lot of that after we lost our son, the closeness. And then, of course, us moving down here to Texas. I still haven't made those connections. My wife hasn't made those connections yet. And I know they're coming. You know, I've got some acquaintances down here, but there is nobody that I would say are close friends yet. And I say yet. I know that they're there. I know that I'm going to find them. I know I'm going to find my mat carriers. And I know that I will be one of their mat carriers. But it's a sad thing to see the stat that this is such a common thing. Another one, 2025 Gallup analysis found 1 in 4 American men aged 15 to 34 reported feeling lonely a lot of the previous day, higher than the national average and higher than young men in nearly 40 other wealthy nations. Another one, 74% of men rely primarily on a spouse or partner for emotional support. That's me. Meaning men without a partner often have no one at all. Don't be that person. find that connection. This is the problem of the lone wolf. This is the problem of some of these ideas that are being pushed on social media, that you just need to push through. You just need to be stronger. You just need to be less emotional. You just need to take control of this, take control of that. And it is keeping you from those connections that God has placed in your life. And if you don't open up to those connections, you can't connect. If I go over to a light switch and I don't turn it on, I'm not going to turn the light on because I never made that connection in that switch. I have to flip the switch and make that connection. It is the same thing. I have to connect. I have to be willing to open up to those that are placed in my life so that that connection can happen. And I think I shared in a previous episode that somebody had made a comment on something, and I don't remember if it was a podcast that I listened to or maybe a reel that I watched. But basically the gist of it was that you were robbing somebody of the opportunity to be able to be there for you because you didn't want to share what it was that you were going through with them. You wanted to be strong. You wanted to hold that in. You wanted to be the Lone Ranger. You wanted to be the macho man. You wanted to be the stoic man. You wanted to be the rock. And you robbed them of the blessing of being able to be there for you. You robbed yourself of the blessing of being able to have a connection with somebody. So don't rob yourself of that connection. Don't rob that person of being able to be there for you. Let's move into what real strength looks like. This isn't one of those self-help pivots or anything, but real strength is, in hard seasons, it's quiet, it's unsexy, it never goes viral, but it looks like being honest with yourself before you perform it for anyone else. It looks like staying in hard conversations instead of shutting down. And that is something that I've really had to work through when it comes to my wife and I, is not running away from those hard conversations. It's having them whether I want to or not, just because I don't want to deal with the emotions. And that is part of the issue, is we don't want to deal with the emotions. So we don't stay in hard conversations. We just kind of breeze over them and never actually have them. So all that stuff is still bottled down inside and is just festering, like I shared on the last episode, just like that pot that is just steaming and steaming and steaming, and eventually it's gonna blow. So have these hard conversations. The other thing is asking for help, not as a last resort, but as a legitimate move. This should not be one of those last things. And unfortunately, a lot of times that's how a lot of us Christians are. When is it that we pray to God the most? Usually when we're going through something. We're not talking to God and praising him or praying to him when we're going through a smooth time in life, which we should be, but we're always waiting until the very last minute when, oh, now I don't know what else to do. I've ran out of things to do. Well, us men tend to do the same type of thing. Instead of asking for help as a legitimate move, we're waiting until we're stuck underneath this window air conditioner that weighs 250 pounds. And now I'm like, oop, I need help. I need help. And that's just an idea, but that is the same thing as far as things in our life. We're trying to handle these things in life, and we're under the weight of it. And then finally we're like, oh, I need help. I cannot get out from under this. Help me. And then we get the idea of, oh, I'm so weak. I couldn't do it on my own. And so ask for help before. Make those connections. The other thing is building something real instead of curating something impressive. Yeah, we all want to look good on social media. We all want our lives to look pretty. But guess what? Sometimes our life isn't pretty. Our life doesn't look good. Our social media, our real media of life is ugly a lot of times. And we just have to get used to that. The men who actually come through hard seasons aren't the ones who look the strongest going in. They're usually the ones willing to be honest about what they were facing. And I don't know, when I had this, what I always thought about was, have you ever looked at somebody and you thought, man, they don't look like much, but yet then all of a sudden they do something and they've got super strength, whether it was like some type of a wrestler or something like that, or a guy that works on a farm, the old farm strength, or something that they refer to as like old man strength. But yet they didn't look like it. Another thing is, back in the old days, or in the hot rod days, they would have what's called a sleeper. And I think they still have those. And it was just a car that doesn't look like it's anything special. But under the hood, it was a souped up engine, and it would beat everything. Well, that's the ones, the men that are willing to be honest about what they're facing. Those are the ones that are strong. Those are the ones that are coming out on top. Those are the ones that are leaving things in the past, and they're doing just what this podcast is about, is being a victor and not a victim. They're not being held back. They're not being pushed down. They are rising above, and they are making steps and 1% better every single day, just making this step over this step over this step, and becoming better and better and better, and making more connections and helping more people. And this is what strength really looks like. It is not the stoicism, is not the hard rock, the no emotions on my face. I'm not going to show any of my feelings. I don't cry because I haven't cried in 30 years because I'm a man, and I'm not going to do that. And you're not going to see me being weak, because if you see me being weak, then I know you can take advantage of me and this or that, or that is not strength. That is weakness, because the moment that shatters, the moment that something in your life gets completely taken away, whether it is your ability to drive, your whatever it is, then all these things that you based your life on is gone, and now you don't have anything to stand on. So make sure that you're showing the true strength, that you are opening up, that you are creating those connections, that it is okay to seek out help. It is okay to look for people to be in your circle. You don't have to earn your struggle. It's just, we're going to struggle. You don't have to perform your way through it. The version of strength that they're selling you was never built for the moment you're actually in. Make sure that you are reaching out. Make sure that you are finding those MAC carriers. Make sure that if you're going through things, that it's okay to seek professional help. Make sure that you are reaching out to one of your friends and saying, hey, I noticed that you've been a little bit distant here. Is there something that you need from me? Be that person that is going above what social media is trying to get us to think of as a man, and start being what really is being a man, and reaching out and forming communities and being there for your brothers and lifting them up and helping them rise higher than where they're at right now. I'm one of those that I love to help people out. I love to teach people. And if they become higher than me, they become smarter than me, better than me, whatever it is, I don't care, because I want them to be the best that they can be. I've never been afraid of somebody taking my job. The way I see it, if they rise up to be able to take my job, then that means I get to move up, because now I don't have to do my job. So be that person. Be open to being a real man and not a social media man. I hope this spoke to you guys. If this did, and you think it would mean something to somebody else, definitely share it with them. Make sure you like, share, comment. Again, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. Go check me out on Instagram, Strength After Sorrow. I'm on there. I post on there here. I'll probably be starting to do a little bit more, and we will see you on the next episode.